You know that voice in your head, the one that says, do better or else? Well, that voice is not making you stronger. It's making you scared. Self-criticism does not build excellence. It builds anxiety. And the longer that you listen, the smaller your life gets. I'll explain why in this video, and I'll give you 3 tools to combat your inner voice. Hey, if this is your first time to watch this channel, my name's Jeff. People are complex and relationships take a lot of work. Understanding why people do what they do so that we can connect more deeply with the people that we care about, well, that's what this channel is about. And when it comes to self-criticism, most of us believe a lie, and it goes like this: if I'm not hard on myself, I won't grow. And you hear this everywhere. You hear it in school growing up. You might have heard it in your family. You certainly hear it at work. What we hear is, push harder, never let up, be your own toughest critic. But that voice actually works against us, and here's why. What's actually happening underneath the surface is that your brain doesn't know the difference between a real external threat and the threat of your own inner voice. So when that voice starts criticizing, your nervous system goes on high alert and your cortisol spikes, and your body floods with stress, and you brace for impact. So you're not preparing to grow, you're preparing just to survive. And in that state of survival, your creativity is completely gone, your clarity is fogged, you don't lean in, you freeze. Why? Well, because self-criticism doesn't create movement. It creates, I guess the best way to say it is that it creates paralysis. That voice in your head doesn't motivate, it intimidates. And if you listen to it long enough, over time, it becomes your internal narrator, and it flattens your identity into one role: performer. You're not allowed to rest, you're not allowed to fail, you're not allowed to explore, you're only allowed to win or disappear. Because that voice sounds like you believe it must be true. It tells you things like you're lazy, or you'll never catch up, or everyone else is doing so much better than you are. So what do you do in response? Well, you end up procrastinating, you overwork, you isolate, you try harder, but you enjoy it less. And you start saying no to dreams because you're terrified of what failure might mean. And that's not laziness, it's emotional exhaustion from being at war with yourself. The inner critic promises growth, but it delivers shame. And it's very likely that you've been operating like this for so long that it feels normal. You stop noticing how loud that voice is because it's always been there. It's not truth, though, it's shame. And it's time to question whether the voice that's shaping your life is actually helping you live it. By the way, what's one sentence that your inner critic always repeats? Drop it in the comments, and let's break the silence together. Okay, so let's bust the biggest myth right here. Shame is not a growth strategy. Somewhere along the line, we picked up this lie. If I don't tear myself down, I'll never get better. But here's the truth. Self-hatred does not create growth. It creates fear. And fear does not lead to excellence. It leads to exhaustion. Look, as a pastor, I believe that God's perfect love casts out fear, which means that God's voice is never demeaning. He always leaves your value and your dignity intact, even in the mess. You were made to flourish, not just to survive. So the question is, how do we actually start shifting the voice in our heads? Here are 3 tools that have helped me and have helped a lot of people that I've worked with over the years. The first one is this: you begin by interrupting the cycle, one kind word at a time. Think of it like turning down the volume on an old radio. It doesn't happen all at once, but with each adjustment, the volume gets a little lower. You can't overhaul your thinking all at once, and you can't always completely silence the critic, but you can stop letting it lead. Okay, the second tool is notice your self-talk in real time. When something goes wrong, pause and ask, what did I just say to myself? If it's shaming, name it. That's my inner critic. That is not the truth. Even that 1 second of awareness can create space for compassion to enter. And then the third tool is called a friend filter. When you catch that voice in your head criticizing you, ask this: if someone I loved said this about themselves, what would I say back? Those tools may feel small. They're how you build a new internal culture, one word at a time. Hey, if this video resonates with you, I think you'll find this video helpful too. It's about perfectionism. Perfectionists often have a ruthless inner critic, and this video dives into why your perfectionism started in the first place and how it's affected your life. I'll leave a link in the description. That cruel voice in your head, it is not the truth, and it is not your destiny. You're more than your performance, more than your mistake. So today, take one breath, one pause, one act of kindness, and let that be your starting point. And if this video gave you language for what you've been feeling, I certainly would appreciate it if you'd give it a thumbs up by hitting the like button. Tell me how it connected with you in the comments, and please share it with someone else if you feel it would help. And to understand people and connect deeply with them, hit subscribe for more videos. Grace and peace to you.